Team, welcome to the day one for our training. And like we were mentioning in yesterday's orientation session, most importantly, JPACT is broken down into a series of trainings and live projects and certifications, plus the job assistance and so on. But I want to make sure that we are well aligned with our trainings team. And here will be a first bit of training. So let me talk about what AnyAUT would do for us, team. Okay. Now, if I want to talk about AnyAUT, first I need to talk about AnyAUT and what it does. But before I get to it, in simple, I can say it is a test automation framework. Okay. Driven by Selenium, Java, and primarily it is zero coding kind of a concept. So how do we go about doing it? Well, before we get there, everyone with me, team, can I have an interactive session? Whoever is participating, just keep your chat online so I can know that yes, you're all getting where we're going. Everyone with me? You can use chat, team, and whenever we have questions as we keep going along, when we pause for Q&A, you can always raise your hand. I can unmute you. You can also share your screen of those points. All right, so before we get to AnyAUT, we need to understand what is software testing, team. Basic levels. I'm not going to go too deep into these concepts, but very critical. I need to talk about what are frameworks. So I'm going in upside down order, team. I need to talk about what is automation, what is software testing in general, and to do that, I need to talk about what is testing, what is development, and what are softwares. Okay. I think that is where we can incline ourselves. The idea is very simple, team. I got a question from someone, okay, about yesterday's session. It's there on YouTube channel. Please check it out, youtube.com/qtp.elearn. Just want to take a pen. So the idea is very simple, team. We're talking about how we need to learn each of them, okay? And we start with one concept and keep going to the other. Let's talk about software itself, team. I'm going to take a few diagrams to draw and maybe save them. Not great at painting, but I'll do my best to get it going. All right, so what are we talking about, team? We are talking about simple things. Right now, software and let's say hardware. Can you all tell me quickly what are the primary differences between the software and hardware? Just the basic. Anyone? What is the software? What is the hardware? And then we will talk about what are the types of software that we have. We have desktop applications. We have cloud or web-based applications. I'll try and do better drawing, team. And then we have mobile applications, but primarily software and hardware. Hardware is like hard disk. Now, software is a program and hardware is a device. Software is application. And hardware, physical device. Hardware is physical device. Correct, Maithili Pinky, you're right about it. So I think simplest way you can say is you cannot see or read as humans. You need a programming language to interact, or better word is interface with. This is something that you can physically see, touch, hold, and so on. and they build up infrastructure is a large or all those devices to hold and run the necessary software, right? And that's where we are. Now, when it comes to software itself, team, let's classify them into 3 categories. And you also have a 4th category, which is more like API or services. But most importantly, we have desktop applications. What are desktop applications, team? Can you tell me? And then what are Windows applications then? And then we have web-based apps or even cloud apps. Team, I want to make sure that you're all thinking through while we're doing all of these things. So desktop applications are basically, what is a desktop application? Anything that you install and run on your machine. Can be on any OS, operating system. OS basically so that's our operating system. Who is an operator? The end user. So they are the ones who will operate using those hardwares and softwares. The system that lets us operate this hardware and software is called as an operating system. What are the most popular operating systems, team, that you see? You have Windows, you have Unix, not really applications, but at least as a command line. Then you have Linux, you have Mac or iOS. So these become your operating systems for different types of different operating systems that use the same logics and so on. As we get into more detail, we'll look into it. Whatever I'm telling you is more than sufficient for us to get started, team. There's not so much about concepts, there's a lot to do for us. So we spoke about this. So Windows application is nothing but one of those applications, team. It's not unique or differently identified. So you can't really classify them as desktop applications or Windows applications. Anything that you install and run on your machine becomes that. Now for a web-based or cloud app, you're looking at anything that you open, through your browsers. So once you go and open an application, it becomes a Windows-based application. Now tell me, team, your Chrome browser, is it Windows or desktop? Or, and sometimes we can also call this as client server, team. Talk about client server a little bit later. Here, mobile applications, need to touch on that, and client server, also API. What is application programming interface? See, team, I don't come with pre-prepared notes or with PowerPoint slides. It's a lot that we need to accept. So as a type, I want you to get that going into you as well. So is Chrome browser desktop or cloud application? Question to you all. Is Chrome browser is it a web-based application or is it a desktop application? Team, I think that's where we're going wrong. See, you get your concepts correct. is not a web app. It is installed on your local machine. So when you say Chrome like this, you see this application. This is installed on your desktop team. It is a desktop app, Windows or whatever. Okay? Application. 1 second, everyone. Sorry, you getting the idea? Now, if I say something like google.com, now how about this? It's not. Google.com is something you use a browser to get to, not installed on your machine. Google.com is not installed on a machine, right, team? You always go to browser and go to it. So I'm just using an example. It is a web-based application. Clear, everyone? So far, so good. I'm going to very basics, team. I'm sure as we keep going along, we'll increase the things that we will do. Please do note that we are getting into the AnyAUT certified tester. Before I speak about AnyAUT, I thought I'll talk about sort phase and how we go about. Now, there's a typical something called as a development cycle. Why is it called a development cycle, team? Can anyone tell me? Why did that name even come across? So here, more. This is well. Okay, what was it talking about? Development cycle. Why a cycle? Can anyone please think and tell me why not just development? What is the primary difference? Cycle means something. I'm sorry. It's like, think of summer, winter, or day, night. We know we can schedule. We repeat that. Isn't that right? But why repeat them? Repeat or go through a cycle? Because we do something called as release one version with few features, see how the market / end users, whoever uses a application, take it. See how the market end users accept it. Then release more features and changes to the old one as version 1.1. That's what it is, team. So development is not a one-time activity. It is constant. And typically we talk about something called as waterfall model. Okay. Waterfall model is very simple, team. When you look at it, it's okay. Very bad at drawing again, but I'm trying. Let's assume this is the hill that we have. Okay. And then there's a lot of water that gets accumulated here, okay, towards the lake, and suddenly starts falling from your team. It's like a lot of release at the same time. You'll see gallons and gallons of water flowing in. That becomes a waterfall model. And typically you have 6 months approximately as the release cycle. Average of 6 months. So you wait 6 months to get customer feedback, and then another 6 months to implement it. So it becomes a longer cycle. As humanity, I wanted to say, but as humans progressed, we wanted to get smart. So they said, let's do some smaller releases. So now came the concept. So that was a waterfall. Okay. Waterfall. Now think about something a little differently. Have you ever seen something called a cascade? So you have water again accumulating. It falls here, it accumulates a bit, again it falls here, and then next level. That becomes your cascade. So we're not saying go from version 1 to version 2 directly. We're saying go from version 1 to version 1.1. Okay. So we're saying no to this and we're saying yes to this. And typically maybe we'll say, you know what, my overall thing is now come down to 1 month as a release cycle. Cascade kind of waterfall, smaller releases. And team each have their own pros and cons. We will realize that more as we go practically. Let's get the concepts. Okay, team. Smaller releases, better managed. But then came something called as agile. Said let's do daily. What's there? Or maybe worst case weekly. Worst case once in 2 weeks. Okay. We're doing bits and bytes of releases. Okay. Now comes the big problem. So now we're saying it's like almost like this team. That becomes a cascade. Cascade versus what would the other one be? Agile. So team, remember this as waterfall. Cascade is a smaller bit of waterfall that keeps cascading one after the other. Let's search for cascade. Everyone know what cascade is? See, they go step by step, one after the other. More slow, gradual fall rather than a heavy fall. And your regular waterfalls are big. So the humongous fall. The one hefty fall everywhere. Cascade have those gradual. So this becomes more like a cascade. This is slightly cascade. Okay. So the deviations, just something for us to be able to easily relate to. Okay, so we spoke about now these facts that we have to do these agile releases. So great, all this is fine. So how does it affect development and testing? So what is a SDLC, a software development life cycle? I wanted to say a few more words about software, like things like coding based, a lot of logic and algorithms go into it. You need some analytics to think about it. And hardware, not saying that you should not, you should be more of an expertise on I'm totally lost here. How do you say the components that build entire infrastructure? And I keep talking about infrastructure. It's basically your IT infrastructure. It's just not one machine or one server. Overall, there's the entire connectivities, cloud, hosting, deployments that they do. So a lot has to do with hardware. Now, are you all board team? We're going to get to the application very quickly. I thought it's good to just cover some basics and then get there. What is software development life cycle? It's typically very simple team. It starts with, actually I'll take an image for this. The first and foremost thing that happens in a software development team is, and we're talking about a regular SDLC here. Okay? So it starts with a requirement that is originated out of a pain team. A pain basically says, you know what, how many times should I copy this and send it? Can't there be a better solution? Or think about WhatsApp, for example. You and your friends always get to talk, but you get a call in between. You cannot add them to the call, though it is relevant. Maybe you're talking to your family, another member of the family calls in, you want to conference them. That is not available. That becomes a pain for you, who's an end user. But that pain becomes something called as a requirement team. A requirement basically states what is the need, and then the company or the software, the IT team decides, should we take that and move it into production? Like, should we work on it? Then comes the next phase of design, where we design as to how we want to do it in a technology using our software or programming language. My throat is still not coming back. I try and use high pitch while teaching, so it gets a little easier as well. Okay, so this pain, this requirement, there's a design for it, and then we start doing coding team. After we finished coding, we test, and then we go live or move to production or staging, and finally to the end customer. That's our cycle. And then next version goes. So that's, we'll say that's version 1. Then another version will come back here. A new pane will become 1.1, will become 1.2, and so on. Maybe there's more weekly releases team or monthly releases. Now, where is testing coming? So a tester's role primarily is out here to make sure that all that the developers have coded in is as per the requirements. If they have a problem, they'll say, you know what, the requirements were not correct, or the design was incorrect, or the developer made a coding error. And we need to be able to give them some kind of classification as to what happened. Okay. In this whole process of doing things, team, our SDLC cycle is the same. Be it waterfall, that is 6 months, or an agile, which is 1 day to maybe a week or 2. Then came a very, very critical concept team called shift left. So shift left basically started saying that, hey, why should I do testing so late into the cycle? Why can't I be pre-ready with whatever I need? So I will try and be sitting with the requirements as they keep getting generated. I will also participate in these designs, and not too much during coding, but I'll prepare maybe my automation of manual scripts and so on. And that's where testers got smarter. And for the last maybe 7-8 years or a decade, we started implementing a lot of shift left team. I'll keep talking about shift left, and I'll also introduce shift right team a little later on how it comes with DevOps and CI/CD, where we're able to do all testing get automatically integrated. So that was a little about SDLC as a simple cycle. In terms of waterfall or agile, it is just the length and how many requirements do we take. Do we take small requirements in agile, or do we take large requirements like waterfall? All right. Now, team, most importantly comes what is to test? Test the software that is made. Now, there are varieties of software that you'll involve into testing team or doing the quality assurance on. Sorry, team. Can you hear me now? I went on mute for a minute. All right. So we were speaking of different types of applications. There could be web-based applications, there could be desktop applications, and so on. We'll talk about applications, team, but our focus to begin with will be some web-based applications. What is very important for us to understand is the need for testing is very simple, team. Ensure products or projects are released I'm sorry, team. Are released with high quality. And that's our primary objective. And we will kind of keep working on that. Now, when we talk about web-based applications, team, and that's been the focus of today's world. Okay, so we will talk a lot about sorry again. Web-based application, a lot of our focus of today's world, we talk a lot about cloud and how the apps are moving to cloud. So the simplest example, see, I'm not typing all of this in a Word document. A Word document is what's a Word document, team? Desktop app? Yep, because you install it and you open it. And how about a Google Doc? That's something on your cloud. So it's a web-based application. Not too much of it. This very subtle difference or hardly any between web-based or a cloud application. I'm sorry, team. This is my throat. And now we're talking about a lot of concepts about automation. I'll talk about automation. So there's manual QA. They are more human driven. That's number one. They have tools. They have processes. And they have domain knowledge, functional expertise. Very bad throat. And are very people-centric because they need to interact with many departments. So it's a pretty dynamic role, constant communicating. Constantly. Okay, so you know who a manual QA is. Now it could be an engineer or beginner or a lead or an architect or a manager, that's different. But this is some traits that we carry. When it comes to automation, it's very simple from my perspective. You are a manual QA already. So you primarily have a good perspective on how you could do these things. And you have some idea of automation tools. You know a little bit of concepts about coding that works. What happens with frameworks? You will do CI/CD, yes. But most importantly, there are thumb rules, team, for automation. We call them ER. Sorry, team, I went on mute deliberately. So the 3 words, team, thumb rules that make it important are these things. And this is what we'll keep working on. They need to be more efficient. That means that faster than a human can. So that builds up speed for us. Okay? And maybe use lesser resources. When I say resources, just not human, but overall, it should also be able to do maintenance with ease. If it takes too long to maintain, then it's not really efficient. Reusability too. Actually, maintenance with ease will come there. So you build once, use many times. That's the concept of reusability. How can we apply that into creating automation projects or frameworks around it? So these are some points, team, you always have to keep in mind as you approach the next sessions, and it'll become more practical and relevant for us. Okay, where are we? So reusability. So what is reusability? Is you basically are building things once, and we're going to reuse them over and over again. And then finally comes something called as maintenance. Also is, if you make change, accuracy is much more accurate than a human. Otherwise, not reliable otherwise. So you need to make sure it is trustworthy, it builds confidence. Otherwise, we will always switch back to manual testing. So far, so good, everyone. And team, we have another 4 or 5 minutes to get going. Now let's talk about a little bit about automation frameworks, team. I will just name what they are. We will learn all of them as we go about using it. Okay? One of the simplest one is called as functional decomposition. Actually, before that comes your linear regression. Just step by step. We'll talk about all of this. Will take us about half an hour to talk about it, but at least we know what we do. Then there's functional decomposition. How we use functions. Then we talk about a data-driven framework. We talk about keyword-driven framework. This are pretty much very, very strong highlights in all of this with AnyAUT also. Then we have a page object model. It's all frameworks, whatever tool you use Selenium or UFT or Catalog or any other tool, Cypress, you can build these concepts on those platforms, team. I'll come to your questions in a bit. Page object model and page factory, kind of similar. Not similar, but they talk about elements and how we intelligently use them. Then there is a hybrid automation framework where you combine 2 or more frameworks together and make it as one. I'll talk about AnyAUT, team, very briefly. So AnyAUT is a project that we've been working for last 4 years. There are a lot of projects or client implementations that are currently going on the product, and we have launched our new AnyAUT Excel runner version as an internal beta. So we have the JPACT 10 and 11 batches currently working on AXL and testing it out. This we'll talk about what it is. What is AnyAUT? Basically, AnyAUT stands for automate any application under test. So when we talk about AUT, the term itself is called application under test team. So whenever you see that word, that referring to what is the application you're testing currently. What's the AUT? Okay. So AUT is the word that we use for automation and as application under test, and coined the word called AnyAUT. So it's a project that's going well. It's a product that may come up well. There are a lot of good things that are shaping up. I'm also going as a good public speaker team on March 3rd in a conference in LA. I live in LA as well. And that's primarily going to be also to display some case studies on how we're implementing these. All right, enough said. Now, I have a couple more minutes. So before wasting any more time, I'll take you to the website. So I want you all to visit AnyAUT.com now. Not now, but in the sense that once the session is done. And look at a short demo team that you have here. Just look at what it does. I'm sure we will do more, but I would want you to take a look at it. You can click on join us and register. I'll guide you how to go about it with the next things. So basically I'm already logged in. Once I log in, I will walk you through all of these things, team. What are each and everything that you see here? Primarily, AnyAUT is built on Selenium and Java, and it's incorporated all the concepts of frameworks into it. And how we go about testing it with zero kind of a code change that we need to perform on an automation schemes. It's all based on either doing it on web UI or Excel. So we'll talk team about this. We're going to use AnyAUT. So primarily team, from my perspective, if someone has gone through AnyAUT and has worked on it, it is very simple. One, you know manual testing, you know what concepts of automation frameworks are, you know how to identify elements, you can write test cases in the format, execute them manual or automation, get the reports, log the defects. So all this is confirmed team. So this skill you will develop in about a week to 10 days. 6 to 7 classes will go through that. There are sessions from the previous batches. You can go through them as well, but you can stick to our routine too team. I would love you to participate as I go along. I will show you demos, I'll show you executions, how we do, but one step at a time. Tomorrow when we start team, I'll start to build writing test cases on an application that we take as a test application. Team, any questions for now? As of now, I'm doing just 45-minute session because there's also a Python training that's going parallelly. I'm not sure if any of you are planning to visit or be part of that, but we're like already a little advanced into it. Let me get you the link if you want to join it. Team, I don't think I have enough time for questions today. Is it okay if I move your questions to tomorrow? When we get started, I will start with taking your questions to begin with. I'm going to quickly send you the registration link for Python ongoing. If you remember, then please do sign up. I will accept you there, team. Yes, you'll get interview Kiran on Q&A as we go along. Let's finish one after the other, then we will do some assignments and interview Q&As as well. Parimala, yeah, so just start with AnyAUT certified tester for now. And I think because you worked as QA tester for more than 3 years, automation Selenium with Java is perfect. Just get that going and then you can plan more. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye then. See you tomorrow, same time.